E46 BMWs make excellent starting points for a variety of goals. They offer strong drivetrains and balanced chassis for affordable prices. But let's say you have a 325xi as a daily driver, like I do. Should you really bother changing anything? The short answer is yes. Much of what I'm going to talk about here will apply to other non-M E46s as well, with the outlier being the already very capable 330i ZHP. Something like a 325 though will never be an extremely fast car without extensive modifications that would likely cost many times the value of the car. However, making a few calculated adjustments can greatly enhance the driving experience. In my opinion, if you have a non-M E46 street car, your goal should be to make it handle as well as possible. Extracting substantially more power from the M54 is expensive, and you're almost always better off just buying a faster car if you aren't happy with its power level. Superchargers are ridiculously expensive, as are turbo kits if you want it done properly. And after all that, you'll be lucky to be making as much power as a stock M3. The M54 does not handle boost as well as the older M52 or M50. It's just more difficult and more expensive to get power out of this. So I'd recommend an air intake and mild exhaust to make it sound a bit more sporty, and just enjoy the smooth, linear power band of the stock engine. Stock 325s are momentum cars in the same vein as Miatas. Get up to speed and then enjoy the well-sorted chassis. But this isn't to say that you shouldn't make any changes at all. The best ones you can make to these cars are in the suspension setup, especially if you're buying a higher mileage E46. Your suspension could likely use a refresh. Struts, shocks, springs, sway bars, and bushings will make a massive difference to the driving experience at a fairly affordable price, particularly if you're installing them yourself. My 325xi had all of the original OEM components when I bought it, and I've since upgraded to Bilstein B8 front struts, Bilstein rear shocks, Eibach lowering springs, and an H&R Rear Sway Bar set to the stiffest setting. The changes are night and day. I did the struts, shocks, and springs first all at once. This improved the ride quality drastically. The car was less unsettled by mid-corner bumps and was far smoother overall. This also reduced body roll substantially. However, the car still gave way to understeer very quickly when pushed even slightly. This is where that stiffer H&R Rear Sway Bar comes in. This is the piece that brought everything together. The body roll was reduced even more to what I would call perfect levels, and the car's tendency to understeer was almost eliminated completely on the street. In fact, it actually made the car far more willing to rotate. Even my 186 horsepower all-wheel drive E46 will now slide through corners in the wet, requiring little hints of opposite lock to correct it. The suspension is now utilizing all of the grip available to the front tires as opposed to simply overloading the outside front tire. The load is now more evenly distributed between the two, and you can certainly feel that when starting to push the car. However, knowing all of this, it's also always important to be looking at the value of your car and weigh it against the cost of the changes that you're planning on making. Dumping money into a $2,500 high mileage base model E46 is going to be a one-way trip for those funds. You'll never see a dime of your modifications when you go to sell the car. Buyers aren't going to see a well-sorted, tastefully modified, yet high mileage E46, they're just going to see a high mileage BMW. So if you're planning on doing mini modifications, consider waiting, saving up a bit more money, and starting off with a faster car. Unless of course you plan on just running it into the ground and never selling it. So, has my money made my 325xi an M3 beating super sedan? Well, no, of course not. But what it has done is make my daily driver's on-road manners far more dynamic. The base E46 now handles like a true sports car and is satisfying and engaging to drive quickly. A tastefully modified 5-speed manual 325 is a real joy to drive that any enthusiast would likely be happy with. So, my modifications haven't made the E46 something that it's not. It's taken what it already was and made it the best that it can be. As always, thanks for watching, and if you're interested in more content like this, check out my website where you can find some of the writing that I've done, or go to the channel, check out some of the other videos. We've got Z4M reviews, we've got E39 M5 content, all sorts of stuff, so feel free to check it out. Thanks again for watching. Take care.